Hey guys, Darren here. Welcome to Mayhem Country Living. I want to talk to you about some stuff. It's probably going to be one of the hardest videos I've ever done. I've done over 3,000 videos. Um, Normally, I don't divulge this kind of information about myself unless it will affect or help a family member. This is for my wife because she's coming to grips with some things. And I want to talk to you guys about forgiving someone you hate, you despise with your soul, and forgiving them. That's powerful, and it's not me. This is not me. This is gonna be churchy. So if any of you guys ain't churchy, go watch, cats dancing or something like that. This is going to be about my earlier life with my first wife and the day my son died. It's hard. This is a hard thing to go over with people. I know some of you. I don't know all 17,000 or 18,000 of you, obviously. It's tough. I think this will help some people. I met a girl and we fell in love and we were so happy during high school. Academically, I did fantastic. I got a full scholarship, and I decided to go to UAB. And I was ultimately going for a medical degree. But things happened and transpired, and she became pregnant, and that caused a problem even with a full a degree for the first 4 years. We really couldn't do it because it turns out after he was born, he was profoundly handicapped. His name was Darren Andrew Taylor, and I'll enclose the obituary from 2005, I believe it was, when he died. And it was hard. It was really hard when he was born because you expect, I'm healthy, I'm athletic. She was cheerleader and all that stuff, and things just don't happen the way you plan, and that's okay because I'm a man, I'm a husband, I'm a provider. So we were married, and after high school graduation, I graduated and she went and graduated, and we progressed. Now, guys, this may be a long video, just telling you. And she had Darren, our son, and again, he was something was wrong at birth. After the initial announcement, Stacy, my first wife, she became very despondent and became very standoffish, and I understand, rightly so. But we had the baby, we had our son, and so we started doing the testing, and it turns out he was profoundly handicapped. And it turns out he had been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, which is and a certain variant of it, which is schizencephalus, I believe it was. Ultimately, he was misdiagnosed, but that's not here and there. And the stresses of it drove her to abandon us. She had to deal with her own stuff because of this, and so it was me and going to what little bit of school I could, and working full time, and babysitters and stuff like that. It was horrible. It was really horrible. It's one of the worst times in my life. But what do? You're a man. Suck it up, Buttercup. This is the hand you were dealt, so you do it. And it was really tough. And I failed across the board in so many things, in so many ways. And as time progressed, Stacy, my first wife, would come back into our lives and be here for a year or so, and say she wanted to get reconciled, and it didn't work out, and she would be gone again, and this time she had acquired a very incredible cocaine habit as well as crack, and she became a biblical whore. And that's what she was. And she would sometimes come back into our lives, and I would let her stay and visit, obviously under supervision, and she would go out and do this thing. I did not like her at all at this point. Obviously, I despised her because of the way she had treated our marriage and our vows. I hated her. Absolutely hated her with every fiber of my being. And I was convinced that the reason that our son was handicapped from the cerebral palsy, because cerebral palsy does not occur unless there is a traumatizing event. It is not genetic, naturally. I hated her, every fiber of my being. And there was no middle ground. And this I discussed with my parents. Again, my father is a very devout Christian man. And he, at the time, he was a minister. And it put us at such odds. I did not talk to my parents for, I'm going to say, 4 or 5 years. Did not talk to them at all, nor my sisters, no one in my family. We divorced ourselves from my family because I could not come to grips with this. Now, this is a horrible thing, horrible for me, horrible for my son. Did physical therapy and obviously all that stuff. He was in special education's program in Alabama. We went to UAB, the CDLD, for physical therapy and training, learning, education, and everything. CDLD is a Center for Learning and Educational Disorders, downtown Birmingham on the south side. And Children's Hospital, we were frequent flyers there. And the whole time Stacy was out smoking crack, doing cocaine, in and out of jail. Actually had her committed a couple of times to institutions for crazy, and then I had her. I testified against her and had her committed to the women's prison down below Montgomery, Atmore, I believe it was. And it was just a horrible rigmarole. But the whole time, I was still taking care of my son. I was working days, I was working nights, wasn't sleeping much or nothing. And the whole time, Stacy was out there doing whatever she wanted to do. And I hated her, and I despised her. But my daddy raised me, you make them they're yours, and you take care of them. And that's what I did. Even though my father and I, again, we did not speak for years. And I eventually remarried, and you know, and then that did not work out because he was my primary concern, and the other lady was not. Obvious, you know, it's obviously, and I would say it up front, but it was just a horrible train wreck of a relationship after another, and my son began to have a lot more health problems, and he eventually succumbed to his health problems, and he died in 2005. He would be 35 now. I'm 54, so you know, you guys can kind of do the math, I think. Yeah, and it was really tough. And I hated her and despised her. I put her in prison. Because I hated her so much. And she would write me letters asking me to forgive her, and I would throw them away or rip them in half or return them. And I despised that woman and hated her as far as I could. And he died. That would be another video I would do, because that is a very long video that I could talk about. But I will say he passed away, and we did the funeral, and my wife at the time, she said the nice thing to do would be to invite her to the funeral. I said, I guess if you feel that way, I said, I would just as soon not, but if that's what you feel like we need to do. I was in a bad place, a very bad place. A lot of times going back over this story, it puts me in a really bad place again, so you have to excuse me. It's hard to talk about this while I'm sober. The way it is. So, a few years goes past, and Hooch, Shauna, and I, that divorce had racked up with the previous lady, and Shauna and I have been together for 20 years now. We were sitting watching a movie at a movie theater, and my cell phone rang, and I looked down at it, and it was a friend of mine I kind of knew. And I said, "Hey man, what are you up to?" And he said, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Well, we're actually in a movie theater watching a movie." He said, "I need to talk to you about something serious." I said, "Okay, what you got?" He said, "I need you to come identify a body." And I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Your ex-wife committed suicide, and we need you to come by, if you could, and identify the body." I said, "Buddy, we haven't been married for years and years and years and years." I said, "I have not even talked to her in a very, very long time." I said, "She remarried to this guy," and I said the name, and he said, "Okay." He said, "That registration is in the glove compartment of the vehicle." And I said, "If you don't mind telling me what happened." And he said, "It was suicide by car, and she went through the windshield and hit an oak tree." And at that moment, I didn't feel that bad for her, because I hated that woman for what she did to me and how she neglected our son. Despised that woman. And I said, wow, that's powerful. And he said, yeah. He said, I found the husband's name and number. I'm going to call him. I said, okay, I appreciate that. I said, thank you for letting me know. And we will, talk to you later. He was a pretty good friend of mine. And so I sat there, and the hooch said, who was that? I said, you won't believe it. I said, it was David. He called and said, Stacy, suicide by car, hit an oak tree on such and such road, not very far from where we lived. She led a tortured life because of the drug abuse, perhaps from the guilt of whatever had happened to cause a problem with our son. And the fact that she just did not care. She led a tortured life. Again, biblically, she was a whore. And it took me a long time, a very long time, to forgive her for the things she did to me, and more importantly, for the things that she didn't do for our son. I could tell you stories that you would say that is not true. That's the only kind of crap you see on TV shows about this, but I won't. Not in this video. Hopefully not ever. I don't like talking about this, but somebody needed to hear this. If you absolutely despise someone, they have a lot of power over you. You need to forgive them even after the fact. So, if you absolutely hate them, they have too much power over you. And in addition to that, it's not good for your soul to hold on to that hate. Kind of an interesting an aside from Red Dawn, Patrick Swayze and all that stuff, and he the guy's talking to the kid. He says, all that hate's gonna burn you up, boy. He says, yeah, but it keeps me warm at night. It did the same thing for me. I tell you what, guys, if there's something in your life that is causing you that kind of negative energy, not woo-woo, but if that is dragging you down like a freaking boat anchor, you got to let it go, because you will not be able to rise above it. You got to let it go. This is the kind of crap that you have to say, God, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever you want to call him, you got to take this, because I can't do it. I cannot tell you how many times I sat with a gun in my mouth trying to figure out what I needed to do. And only by grace did I make it through that. Sometimes you need to talk to somebody bigger than you are. That is your takeaway. If there's someone that you hate and despise that much, by God, you better forgive them. because it will eat you up, and they will steal your soul just like they took your joy. Hope you guys are doing well. I love each and every one of you. I pray for you, believe it or not. Take care of you people.